expectations were high, but this is beyond all expectations. Resident Evil has some of the worst reviews in history. We also have some possible bad news about the upcoming Witcher prequel, The Witcher: Blood Origin. And do you want to know what Keanu Reeves is up to these days? Stick around till the end of the video to get up to speed on all this and much more. Let's go. So let's start with the fact that Resident Evil has some of the worst reviews in history. This wasn't the first time that the Resident Evil video games were the inspiration for director, but Netflix's Resident Evil is arguably one of the worst things to ever be produced by Netflix, and we have Rotten Tomatoes to prove it. The critic score is currently 52%, which doesn't have to be fatal for a production. In most cases, the audience score is a little bit more forgiving, but in the case of Resident Evil, the audience score is only 26%. That definitely puts it as one of the worst rated movies in Netflix's portfolio. The problem for most fans seems to lie in some deviations from the source material, including the apparent resurrection of Albert Wesker. But even if you can admit that it is a bit unfair to say that there are deviations, given that the series isn't intended to be an exact adaptation of anything, it still leaves the audience sadly unsatisfied. Maybe it's the abundance of cliffhangers, the drip of confidence that there will be another season. But shows have been axed with much better ratings, and as it stands now for Resident Evil Season 1, it's not looking good. Another thing that should be taken into consideration for its bad rating is the fact that the four leading characters all were cast as people of color, including the traditionally white Albert Wesker. Fans instantly started to make a fuss when that became known, so it does beg the question whether it has something to do with the bad reception. Next up, Tim Miller's adaptation of The Goon is going directly to Netflix. San Diego Comic-Con is always a very exciting time for everyone in the entertainment industry and its fans. This is often the time that has been deemed perfect to announce the involvement of important directors with specific, highly anticipated projects, or someone announces a completely new project for fans to look forward to. That's what Tim Miller did this year. Miller has a very impressive portfolio, not in the least his directorial debut with Deadpool in 2016. He hasn't directed a film since 2019 when he worked on Dark Fate, but he's now admitted that he has a project that's been stuck in development hell for numerous years. His newest project is called The Goon, which will be released directly on Netflix. The film is based on the comic books by Eric Powell, which is released by Dark Horse. The comic is about a hulking orphan who is raised by his aunt, who is a strong woman for a carnival. When his aunt is gunned down by a gangster, the Goon kills the gangster and takes over the whole operation, which gives us a pretty clear idea of what to expect of the new movie. Not much more is known besides that, but we're sure things will finally start moving for Miller now that Netflix is involved. It sounds like he's having a good time at least. And now we may have some bad news about The Witcher: Blood Origin. As far as all the official sources are concerned, the prequel of The Witcher: Blood Origin, is still set to be released somewhere in 2022. The best guesses have been put on December, around Christmas time. Netflix has been pretty clear about other intentions though, like that the show will consist of 6 episodes taking place roughly 1,200 years in the past. But there are signs that this may not be the case after all. Apparently, reshoots and editing has resulted in the series having only 4 episodes. The first and last episodes remain untouched, but it seems like Netflix was not satisfied with the distance between the prequel and the original series. And then there were parts that were simply not up to the high standards that Netflix held the series to. All of that seems to have resulted in 2 whole episodes being cut. On the other hand, it's also being said that Joey Batty's Jaskier is getting a lot more presence than was previously predicted. But we're not going to complain about that one, are we? Before you go, are you sure you don't want to know the latest on the Spy Kids reboot? Because we've got the name of the latest actor to be added to the cast. What is Keanu Reeves up to these days? And what project is making Nicholas Winding Refn return to his roots? Don't go anywhere and watch until the end of the video to find out more. First up, Billy Magnussen is joining the Spy Kids reboot. The cast for the Spy Kids reboot is looking better and better with every new face that has been added. The newest name that has been attached to the upcoming project is Billy Magnussen. You may recognize him from Made for Love and No Time to Die. He'll be working on the reboot of one of the world's most entertaining movies of the early 2000s. The latest chapter of Spy Kids will be about how the children of the world's greatest secret agents accidentally help a powerful game developer unleash a computer virus that gives him control of technology all over the world. that, of course, means they have to become spies so they can save their parents and the world. What role Magnuson will be playing is not known yet, but we wouldn't be surprised if he's been tapped to portray one of the bad guys. Other names that have been previously announced include Zachary Levi, Gina Rodriguez, Everly Carganilla, and Connor Esterson. And franchise creator Robert Rodriguez will write, direct, and produce the Spy Kids reboot. On Netflix's side, Nick Nesbitt will be the creative lead for the project. All in all, the team seems just about rounded out, and we can't wait for more news to trickle down the vine about this exciting reboot. Following, Keanu Reeves wants to turn Berserker into a Netflix film. It's Doctor Who, except he's an action warrior and he was created by Keanu Reeves. In March 2021, the first issue of Berserker was released, a comic about an 80,000-year-old warrior who is infamous for his proclivity to literally punching people through the chest, if he doesn't just rip them apart. And this year, Keanu Reeves took Berserker to San Diego Comic-Con, which he co-created and has co-written with Matt Kindt. Reeves told the crowds at Comic-Con that he wanted to create a character that could punch through people's chests and rip their arms right off. And the idea of someone who is cursed with violence and trying to figure out who they are and how they came to be, and any kind of reclaiming their humanity, Reeves explained. He also said that working on the comic book has been one of the best creative days of his life, and it's been a dream come true. Reeves has a lifelong passion for the art form, starting in his formative years when he didn't even realize what it was yet. He'd watch animes on TV and come home from the comic book store with bags filled with comics. And now he has his very own comic, Berserker. And with a character like that, the possibilities are quite literally endless. There's even a rumor that Reeves is working with a writer to make a novel about the character. Isn't it nice to see Reeves living his best life? And lastly, Nicholas Winding Refn will be directing the new Netflix original Copenhagen Cowboy. For the first time in over a decade, the mind-bending Danish director Nicholas Winding Refn is returning to his roots for a Netflix original series called Copenhagen Cowboy. It's Refn's first series for Netflix, but the director has already let it be known that it absolutely won't be the last time that he's teaming up with the streaming giant. With Copenhagen Cowboy, I'm returning to my past to shape my future by creating a series, an expansion of my constantly evolving alter egos. This time around, he's going to do that through the story of Mew, who will be portrayed by the lovely Angela Bundelovic, who you probably recognize from the Danish The Rain. Mew is the young heroine of Copenhagen Cowboy, and we follow her as she travels through Copenhagen's criminal netherworld. That sounds exactly like it's something Refn would have a blast with, and come with results as well. Refn has already made quite a name for himself with the Danish crime trilogy Pusher, which coincidentally is also one of the earlier projects that introduced the world to the amazing Mads Mikkelsen. Refn sounds very happy with his new best friend, Netflix, and we can't blame him. Hopefully it won't be too long until we can finally see something Danish from Nicholas Refn again. And that's all we have for now. Have you seen season 1 of Resident Evil on Netflix? If so, what did you think about it? Are those ratings justified, or is it much too harsh? Let us know in the comments what you think, and thanks for watching.